So you just got your manuscript back from your professional editor. How do you tackle all of those scary, scary red marks? Hi, my name is Willow Asteria. I'm a dark fantasy author, and I have some tips and tricks for you guys for this. So stay tuned. The first thing that I like to do when I get my edits back from my editor is first I like to go through and I like to review some of the comments. So if they left any like big notes, if they gave you like an editorial letter or any sometimes an editor will give you just a brief, hey, these are some things that I've noticed throughout your manuscript that were repetitive errors. Keep an eye out for these, things like that. I will go ahead and I will review those first. The next thing I will do is I will go through all of the comments and I will do the ones for typos and grammar first. So those are like the easiest to go through. They require very little brain power for the most part. You go through, you click them, you say, great, you're now all good on the grammar side. Now is the hard part. You will go through and you will have to hit those hard edits. What needs to be expanded on, what needs to be changed, what parts of character development needs to be adjusted, things like that. So once you go through all of the comments, and an editor, in regards to like typos and stuff, unless you have like a major like plot hole or things like that, a lot of the times those are suggestions. So let's say I've had an edit come back where it's like they used their teeth and they clamped down onto some flesh. I don't know. We're talking about zombies. But let's say that they wanted to reword it and say they bit down onto the flesh. That's kind of like a give and take for, if you liked the way that sounds better, go ahead. But if you like the way that your wording sounds, some are just suggestions. So always take that in mind. And when you're going through those types of edits. So once I go through all of those notes and I've, really beefed up the story as much as I can beef it up from those edits, I will run it through Grammarly again. Now, we did do that previously with our self edits, but we've changed since then. We've, even since we've gotten through the editor edits, we've changed things, we've added things to our manuscript. So we're going to run it through Grammarly one more time to make sure everything that we have added is going to be grammatically correct. Now, the next tip that I am going to give you guys is one of the biggest helpful things that I have ever come across. And I will do this for all of my manuscripts forever, no matter what. No matter what, this is the one thing that I want you guys to take from this video. The last 2 rounds of edits that you do, I want you to have your computer read it to you. It's going to help with a couple things. So you're going to do this twice. The first round, you're going to go through anything that sounds weird, you're going to adjust. Anything that is not the right word, you're going to adjust, because sometimes those do slip through. I'm dyslexic, so I've had words go through. I thought I was writing obstacle, instead I wrote obstetrical. Random things like that do happen even after you have gone through the proper channels. Nobody is 100% perfect. This really helps get those last things. So round 1 for the listening round, you're going to, change any of those wordings, change up your sentence structures. If they sound wonky, you're listening to it and you're like, oh, that is not, in your brain, you're like, that sounds normal. But listening to it is a totally, totally different thing. So round 1, you're going to go through and make all those changes. Your second round is going to go through and just make sure that it's all good and perfect. Now, if you do a second round and you still find that there are a lot of things that needed to be adjusted or a lot of things that sounded weird, you would want to do then another listening round once you've made those adjustments. And you're going to want to do that until it sounds good. Typically, I do mine in about 2 rounds. You may need 3, and it can just vary. And then after you have done all of those things, that is when you would send it off to a proofreader if you do any proofreading, which I highly, highly suggest getting a proofreader just because, like I said, nobody is perfect. So send it off to that proofreader, and then you are ready for ARCs, which we will discuss in another video. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on that. If you have any questions in regards to what to do after you get your edits back from an editor, make sure you drop them down below in the comments. I am happy to continue the conversation if need be. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.